Midsummer. It's the 20th of June, and myself and Mrs. W are trying to make as much as we can of the most daylight that we will see this year. Just been having a look at the carrots. If you remember, we sowed these carrots right at the very end of March, and this is the result of them. This is a variety called Norwich. And these carrots are now just as we like them. This is how we like to eat them during the summer months. They're good for shredding into salads, but equally as a standalone veg. Just top and tail them and steam them until they're cooked enough for you to eat. Lovely and sweet, Mrs. W.
Oh, absolutely. I love carrots. I really do.
Now, in today's video, we may have harvested some carrots. Midsummer is an ideal time to be sowing your carrots for an autumn and winter harvest. Also, we're going to take a look at the garlic. Hello and welcome back to the No Dig Norfolk Gardener. Now it's about 10 minutes to 8 in the evening here on our No Dig Norfolk garden. What's going on, girls?
I've shut them out of the coop. There's
Ah.
still 2 broody ones. I'm just making sure they're having something to eat and drink.
And as I said at the beginning, it's an ideal time to be sowing your carrots for an autumn and winter harvest. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. One thing I am pleased to say is that the weather really has warmed up.
Yes, thankfully.
And we have got a bit of a summer.
Yeah. Don't blink because you may miss it.
And we're going to be sowing our old favourite Eskimo. We find that this is a great carrot to have as your autumn winter harvest. Now, as I always say, it takes a bit of practice to be able to sow these really thinly. Even though we've done a really good job here, you can see there are clumps where there are probably 5 carrots that have germinated there.
Yeah, they definitely need to be thinned, those do, don't they?
Yeah.
In other places we've done quite well though. It's,
Yeah, in the main, it's not too bad.
It looks quite good.
That must be the bit I done, Mrs. W.
No, I think it definitely is a bit odd.
Well, what was this? We sowed these, it was May, wasn't it? So, at this, you know, when the weather is warmer at this time of the year, they do germinate that much quicker. We probably waited over 2 weeks back in March, didn't we? At the end of March when we sowed those, whereas these are much more advanced. And actually, they're not by any means ready, but if you look at those down there and these, it's the height. There's not that much difference in them, is there, really? It's the right time for carrots. And what we have done is that we've sown another row in the plot where you saw us at the beginning. So we have got some growing outside too. And then we can get a fair comparison. Obviously, I've been with Mrs. W quite a long time. I know her quirks, and I know that she does some bizarre things sometimes, but they usually work and are usually for the best. And she actually said to me, we need to get a new bath. And she's found a new bath, but the one we have upstairs, it's almost as deep as this, isn't it? But she suggested that we grow carrots in that.
Ever resourceful.
I think it's because she wants to return this veggie bed back to herself to grow salads and things in.
Me. See, you do know me quite well.
So don't be surprised, folks, if next year you see us growing carrots in a roll-top bath. Our garlic is ready. A lot of people ask me, when should you harvest your garlic? And you might read in places that you need to wait until the leaves have all gone over and gone brown and yellow. Not so. If you leave garlic too long, then they can start to split open as opposed to just staying as you want them as a head. So you have to know exactly the best time to harvest garlic. And what I've found, although you wouldn't be able to tell it from here, is that once you start seeing the bottom third of the plant and the loose leaves starting to go yellow and brown, for me that's the optimum time to harvest. Now these are all brown, but clearly brown with rust.
So they're the worst rust garlic we've had ever.
Yeah, and as we said on the last video, it will be down to the very cool and wet conditions that we've seen for most of the UK.
Yeah, because the ones in the polytunnel and the greenhouse haven't got any rust, as far as I'm aware anyway.
No.
And they're next to the elephant garlic, which don't appear to have any either, so it's just... It's a
But,
thing, isn't it?
yeah. Having said that, I was going to say that, you know, the elephant garlic is not true garlic because it's a cousin of the leek. But in the autumn time, you can sometimes get rust on leeks, can't you?
We have had that in the past on an odd occasion, haven't we? Not as bad as these.
So quite why these haven't had it, I don't know. So I think we'll start with the elephant garlic, Mrs. W. June is its time for harvest, and when I scraped some soil away about a month ago, we looked like we were going to get some monster heads.
Well, they're certainly looking quite thick-stemmed.
They are, aren't they?
I suppose, compared to everything.
Extremely, extremely.
Oh my god! Wow. Now that is an elephant garlic. Wow, look at that.
And I thought we were doing well a month ago when I sort of scraped some of the soil away.
Oh. I think there's one of those little bulbils on the bottom.
Several.
Oh yeah, there's several little bulbils.
Several.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, good garlic. Elephant garlic.
They are.
So now to the regular garlic. How are we doing? The rusty regular garlic.
The rusty regular garlic. Well, do you know what? Consider that when you consider these plants are full of rust.
They're not a bad size.
That's not bad.
No, that's not.
When I harvest garlic, I always like to take the outer sheath off. So as you can see, the cloves have separated nicely. It's not gone too far over, and it's an ideal time to harvest. And, you know, I would expect these not to be as large as garlic that we've grown in other years because, as I say, these are just so full of rust. And actually, if we compare them with an elephant garlic,
Quite a bit of difference.
yeah. Now the Solent White, they always produce us really lovely harvests. We have been growing them now for several years, and we save the largest of the cloves every year so that we can then replant them on. It's one of the great things about garlic that you only need to buy it once and then just replant your largest cloves. And over the years you'll build up a nice stock of clues that you can then get out into your plots. Last year we decided to try some Mersey white. We just thought to ourselves, we'll try something different, see whether it's a slightly different flavour. And we actually really like the flavour of the Mersey white, as well as the Solent white. But they haven't fared so well this year.
No, they were quite good last year, weren't they?
They were very good last year, but they were very different growing conditions
Yes.
to what we had this year. And because these bulbs are only 12 months old, they may not have had enough time growing in our garden to be used to our soil's condition. I often say to you, that we grow in heavy clay soil, and you can see with all the rain we've had, if I do that, it's like having Play-Doh. It was a lot worse than this stuff before we became no dig. So it heartens me very much to see just how good it actually is. These Mersey white
They're quite a bit smaller,
are a lot smaller if I compare them to the Solent white. Now conversely, here in the greenhouse we happen to be in, this is when I would say that they're sort of ready. You can see that from here upwards, all the stem and the bottom leaves have all gone that familiar yellowy brown colour. But what you can't see is rust.
No, they're so clean in here, aren't they? Thankfully.
And even though this is a Solent white, you can see that the bulb is actually much bigger. And we've probably just caught these just in time. Remember when I said when we were outside that you don't want to let them go over too much? These are starting to get to that point. Now myself and Mrs. W have been extremely busy with one thing and another. Moving the kids, and Sasha's just graduated, hasn't she?
She's just got her results, hasn't she? And
Yeah.
she's done really, really well.
Yeah, she's got a first at uni, so...
With honours.
Yeah, with honours, yeah.
Congratulations, Sasha.
But you can see they've split nicely. And because they've been grown indoors and there's no rust, consequently the bulb is that little bit bigger. Now you can see that in the greenhouse here, the Mersey white has done much better.
It has, hasn't it? Lovely.
Looks an absolute gorgeous bulb, and more akin to what we would expect.
Smells fantastic as well.
Does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And again, the clues have all split nicely.
Lovely sized garlic those, yeah.
Yeah, really pleased with that.
Yeah, so am I.
Really pleased with that. So here we are in the poly, and let's see how these have fared.
That was quite a nice size.
Does.
Not massive, but not small. And these are the Solent white as well, I think.
They are, yes.
Yeah.
But actually, you can see that where we've had the door open, the rust has just crept in here.
Oh yeah, it has actually.
But it's not got beyond these first 4 plants. Then you don't see it anymore. And again, you can see a lovely harvest undercover. You can see that there's some lovely plump clues within that head. We'd better get the rest harvest, Mrs. W.
I think we should. There's for you to do.
Get the curing underway.
Yes.
So in the end, it wasn't a dream. We had a marvellous harvest. A midsummer harvest of garlic. Now, I have put the baskets on here so you can just see, for the purpose of this video, these elephant garlic were grown outside. These were the Mersey white that we grew outside. And these are the Solent white that were grown undercover. And these were grown actually in the greenhouse, so they've done really well. And then on to the last tray. This is what came out of the polytunnel, and it's the same story really. The Solent white has done really well, but the Mersey white not so well, although we did get a few larger bulbs out of the
Mersleys, yeah.
in the poly, didn't we? What I would just say is that while I was harvesting, I've actually caught a couple. So if you've got anything like that, just take it down to the kitchen and use it now. You can see it's a really mixed bag. Certain places we get nice big heads, and in certain places we get small heads. Who knows the reason why? They're all grown the same way, they're planted at the same time. It's just what happens. What I would say is don't get yourself too stressed about it, because that will taste every bit as good as that. The only difference is that there were more cloves in this one than there are on this. The things that we all grow, either in our garden or on our allotments, they taste like nothing else you can buy. Do let us know in the comments what your garlic harvest was like. Myself and Mrs. W, we've enjoyed dancing around the garden on this midsummer evening. When we see you next, we shall be talking about the melons, and it will be the next part of our melon grow along. So do stay tuned, look out for that video. Have a great gardening week. We shall see you on the next one.